Hi and welcome to today's episode of Cafe Chronicles. I'm Steve. Today we're going to take a little look at sorting out, eventually, finally, thankfully, our front brakes. I think you guys have been seeing over the last few episodes, I've been doing things like the mirrors, I've been doing things like sorting out, fine-tuning the front guard, shining up the headers, putting on the rear sets, things like that, which all need to be done, no doubt about it. But I kept kind of skirting around the issue that there was still brake cables hanging down, brake lines dangling down, and no calipers on the front of the bike. So today I wanted to address that a little bit. I wanted to tell you about the saga, the journey, what I went through. Lots of troubleshooting, lots of learning, but I figured it out. I had some really good help from a few different sources. I wanted to say a big thank you to my buddy Dana from Caledon, who was really helpful. Dana's building this beautiful CB750, really nice bike. It's going to be really good. I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully maybe we can on the channel at some stage get it on as well, take a look at it. I reached out to Dana a while back, and he was selling the brakes from his bike, the older brakes on there, because he was changing up the front end. So I'll talk a little bit more about that in the video, but a big thank you to Dana. Also, I had a lot of help too from Reddit. I had help from a few forums, online forums that I'm going to mention as well. I'll put some links into the descriptions. If you guys are building and you're running into problems, somewhere where I've found a huge amount of help is on online forums. So things like the SOC4 forum, the Single Overhead Cam 4 forum. I've had just such amazing help from a lot of the people on there, as well as multiple other forums that I'm going to speak a little bit about in the videos. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and talk you through kind of what I've done. I'm going to start the video. You'll notice that at different parts of the video, because the brakes have been something that's been going on over a number of weeks and even months, you'll notice that at stages I'm going to be working on the bike and other things won't have been finished. And the reason why is, like I said, I held off on putting a final video together on the brakes because I figured it would probably just annoy you guys if I was to show you little bits and pieces, always not really finishing at one topic. So I wanted to really stick with the whole brakes, the front brakes, as one video, or one. We might need to break it up into two. We'll see how it goes. But you know, as one subject at least, so that you guys can really get a sense of what I went through. Like I said, just keep in mind that you'll see the mirrors are on, the mirrors are off, different things, but hopefully it'll all make sense in context to you guys as you watch. So it's a little bit of a different format for this video. I hope you guys enjoy it all the same. Like I said, you might find it choppy in bits, but I'm going to try and make sure that it stays to some sort of a story for you guys. But we'll start off by taking the original front end calipers on the bike, which were GL 1000 calipers from the late 70s, and rebuild them with a rebuild kit, clean them in the ultrasonic bath, and get new brake pads on there, new brake lines on, try and bleed them up, and that's where the saga starts. I hope you guys enjoy the format. Let's get stuck in. brakes. Still nothing going on down here. So they look cool, but they don't work. We're going to take a little look at filling the reservoir here of the master cylinder with our brake fluid that we have that's specifically for this type of brake caliper. We're going to try and bleed the brakes. Now, my understanding from what I've read online is it's one of the toughest scenarios is when your entire brake system is drying. That's what we have. So it's going to take a little bit of work. Let's get stuck in and see how we go. We have the brake levers on there, we have master cylinder and the new brake lines, and we rebuilt our brakes, our two front calipers. I filled them with some brake fluid, I bled the lines, and I started to make another episode on doing that, but I just could not get them going. I was having issues where I was just having squishy brake lever. And I tried lots of different things. I tried vacuum bleeding the lines, tried different stuff. And then I saw on one of the forums a little kind of a tip on there about clamping the brake lever overnight and leaving it. That's when I started to see some issues where I saw a puddle of brake fluid basically escaping from the caliper on one side, just one of the calipers. I have taken apart that caliper, and by looking at it, it was one of the ones that I was a little bit worried about at the time. Don't know if you guys can see, hopefully you can here, but there is some pitting on it around here, and so I'm thinking that was the cause. I'm hoping that's what it was, because I have ordered and received a new caliper. I'm saying caliper here, piston. So this is the piston from the front right caliper, and you'll see that there's some pitting on it here. It's pretty kind of chewed up. So I've ordered a new one, and it's arrived, and I'm ready to install it, and I'm hoping that it will do the trick for us, and we won't have any more leaks, and that we will have some nice solid brakes from now on. So we're going to rebuild that caliper and pop it back on the front wheel. We're going to try and fill that reservoir on there as well with our new brake fluid, and maybe even try and bleed those a little bit. I ordered some stuff. I got some syringes, because I read that you can basically kind of backward prime these things, and it's a good thing. I think they call them reverse bleed, so we'll try that. Also, I got some packs of new crush washers as well, so that we can just take off the lines, retorque them on there, and make sure that everything's good. All right, let's go. I had some problems with the banjo bolt washers, the little crush washers leaking. So the set that I had originally gotten, they just weren't doing the trick. They were the right ID, but the OD was too small. Yeah. So they were leaking. So I went on Amazon again and got some more. So hopefully these ones are going to do the trick this time. Give it a shot. Okay, so we've managed to put on the new banjo washers here on the banjo bolts, and nothing's leaking anymore, so that's a win. However, we damaged, when I say we, I damaged these here by over tightening them. So I've gotten 2 new ones. Great thing is I got them from Honda, so they're a part that is available. And just one thing I've kind of learned since I've been working on this bike. Now obviously I only have a frame of reference of Honda, vintage Honda bikes, but one thing I've learned though is that to try and find most parts for the bike is tricky. You've got to go to David Silver Spares or Honda Parts House, or you know, go on eBay or whatever it is to try and find the parts. It can be tricky, but you should always check for the part numbers directly with Honda to see if they have them. And I'm guessing it's the same with other manufacturers as well, because if it's a thing that they do have access to them, when you order it, they're, you know, it'll cost you a dollar, a few cents, versus if you're to get it on a website or somewhere, you could be looking at $10, you know, for it, plus shipping, plus duties. You're looking at $30-40 or something. That's happened to me before. A lot of hardware and stuff like that, I always check to make sure that it's not available, you know, with Honda. So in this case, I checked with Honda, they had these. I called them up and they basically said, yeah, we'll order them for you, they'll be here by 10 a.m. tomorrow. So pick them up, and I'm going to install these. I'm also going to put a little bit of Teflon tape. I read online that it's a good thing to do, so I'm going to put some Teflon tape on there, and I got some more brake fluid, so we will try it again, like take 50 on these to try and get air through them past so that they're not squishy. And we also, remember, we replaced the piston as well, so I'm hoping that this will do the trick. Let's give it a shot. Okay, so I'm going to pop on the cap for the reservoir back on there again. We've made a huge amount of headway tonight, this evening, because we managed to get the brakes to a stage where they're not leaking out banjo bolts or the master cylinder. That's always a plus. We got to a stage that it's not bleeding out the master cylinder, it's not bleeding out different places. It was squirting brake fluid here like I don't know, it was like a blue movie here at one stage. But you know, the whole thing has been just constantly trying to find out what's going on, learn a little bit, fix it up. You know, find another problem, learn what the problem is, fix it up a little bit more. And you know, as I say again and again to you guys, it's a steep learning curve when you're building a bike like this. It's my first time that I've done anything like this, so you know, obviously there's going to be a huge amount of mistakes again and again. You know, well, hopefully I'm not making the same mistakes twice. That's just being an idiot, but you know, it's a steep learning curve to say the least. Where we've got to right now though, the piston, we replaced it on the front right brake. It's not leaking currently. Now, it was a slow leak. It didn't present itself very quickly all the time. So, you know, I don't know that I would see it right away, even right now, you know, but at the moment I've got, you know, as I was doing that kind of vacuum bleed there, that vacuum bleeder, I'm going to put a link in the description, but that vacuum bleeder, I got it on Amazon, and it was like $20-30, and like very, very worth it. Also, you saw there earlier on, I wrapped Teflon tape on the bleeders. That made a huge difference. If anybody's looking at potentially doing that, do it. It allowed me to keep a pressure, consistent pressure, using that little vacuum pump. It also stopped anything from squirting up past the threads on the bleeder screw, and it really just made a really nice kind of a change to what I've been doing. You guys probably can't tell, but that's where I'm squeezing in the handle to, and I'm getting some good solid brake on there. It's still going into the handlebar though, and my feeling is that there might be a little bit of air somewhere. This junction is a bit of a pain in the arse. Let me show you here. This little junction makes it very difficult here, because what happens is the brake lines go up to it, that's great, but then from here, you know, the air has all this kind of network in here. I don't know what the orifices in here or the little caverns in here are like, but you know, where do they store air? I have no idea. Also, with this cable that I have here, it goes down, as you can see, and up to the master cylinder. So what I've been doing is, you might have seen me in the video, taking it off, trying to level it out here a little bit, and tonight I'm going to tie it up like this kind of a thing, so that hopefully it'll let some air make its way through the system. I've read online this little tip about basically holding the brake lever on. So I'm going to try that on all night, kind of like that, with this little clamp, hoping that it'll do the trick. I'm also going to leave this little junction in a situation where potentially it will let the air move up through the lines to the junction and then up to the master cylinder. So we will see. As I said to you guys before, I'm learning so much. I'm learning it at a pace though that is, you know, quite slow. I'd like to be learning it faster, but you know, hey, that's the deal. That's what I signed up for. So definitely been enjoying it, especially evenings like this where it's nice, the sun's kind of coming through the garage here. I'm working on it, it's getting closer. I know the end is near, and where I can get on this bike and ride it and enjoy it. So that's what it's all about, right? Let's see how it goes tomorrow. Okay, so hopefully you're kind of getting the sense that this brake problem has been an absolute nightmare. I've learned a ton, don't get me wrong, I've learned a ton of stuff. But it started out with rebuilding the standard GL1000 calipers. Then it went from, and putting the rebuild kits in there and all that. Then it went to fighting with installing new crush washers on the banjo bolts. Went from there to fighting air bubbles and stuff like that with the little T-junction manifold in there. Then it went to the actual front right caliper leaking on me. Finding that, then getting myself a new piston to replace that, and what do you know, next morning it's leaking again. So brings me to kind of the part where I started to realize that this right hand caliper, it just wasn't going to do the trick. I was going to have to get a new caliper. Unfortunately, there was too much damage inside the caliper, and it wasn't holding pressure in there, which is a bit of a shame. So it sent me down a little bit of a path, basically trying to figure out what else can I get, because it's not so easy to find calipers from a 1978 or 1979 GL1000. So what you have to basically do is try and go on eBay, but with COVID-19, You know, I mentioned in one of the episodes that the pivot bolt for the swing arm, I'd been waiting like 2 months for it to arrive, and that was just coming from the other side of the States. So it's really difficult. So I wanted to try and get something that would work there and then. So I stumbled on a little piece of luck on the SOC 4 forum, the single overhead cam 4 forum. Some really nice advice from some awesome guys on there that started to tell me about other motorcycles in the Honda lineup around that tenure, and even newer, later models, that had the same fittings and fixtures on the front forks, but had upgraded brakes that would just kind of fit into place and work. So I'm not going to put that all into this episode because the episode's turned into a little bit of a beast. So what I wanted to do was just kind of end it here today, and next Friday then we'll release the next video, and I'll try and get it into like under a half an hour. I know nobody wants to watch a mammoth video, so just trying to get you through kind of the way things happened. It was a little bit of a dilemma, nightmare, saga. I don't know what way you want to put it, but definitely tough. But I'm going to leave it there for today. In the next episode, I'm going to take it from there onto searching the motorcycle brakes that will fit, so the calipers that will fit, and lucky enough stumbling across an advert that a now buddy of mine, Dana, was lucky enough. I was lucky enough to find, and he helped me, and he went over and above to try and help me get those brakes on there and that. So I'll fill you guys in on that next week. But for now, we'll leave it at that for this week because I don't want to bore you. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Thanks a lot for taking the time to watch the videos. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next Friday.